Hello, and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 94, Zorwellian, recorded on May 15th, 2020. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt. Let's get right on into the news.
A slow news week we had, but we've got 4 stories that are kind of interesting. So we got some analytics updates. Tyler, I know you always are a big fan of these. Actually, they looked pretty cool, just from some sharing and publishing options that were added in here. What do you think?
Yeah, so these are kind of nice because one of the common challenges inside of analytics is that their permissions system is a little bit funky, right? So you can either have people as a standard user, meaning that they're only going to see things specifically shared to them, or an admin where they can see and edit everything. And with their default permissions, there's really no in between. So if you want to share a report out to some standard users, you'd have to actually go through and individually share it to each and every person. So being able to publish just within your whole organization is super slick. Definitely going to save some time for sharing things out to people that are not admins of analytics. And then they have a couple other little minor updates. So you can now share specific columns in a data table, which is definitely nice, right? So maybe if there's some commission calculations or specific information that you may not want to share with every user, you can go ahead and hide that from your data tables. And then last but not least, you can now import data into any organization from the homepage. So this is just a specific change to the UI. It's not really anything functionally different, but it's just a different way to access your imports and data sources.
So nothing really major here, just kind of some basic stuff.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest one are just the permissions, right? Just to make sure that, people are seeing stuff that's appropriate for them to see, and, being able to lock down some of the other information.
All right, and then Zoho Desk, this is interesting. I don't know if I've really played with this before, but I guess a year ago, they had a new layout for viewing tickets called the table views, and it gave them agents. They could basically, I imagine you're looking at a table, you can put whatever columns you want to see. And now you can actually sort those columns, which I guess is nice. This is how slow the week was. Have you played around with this view? I don't know if I've looked at this in Desk.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spreadsheet view inside of Zoho Desk, right? Where rather than seeing things just with like line items, you can actually edit the individual columns. And yeah, it's a minor update. Definitely one that's probably pretty needed, right? If you're using
sorting is good, I would think,
yes.
Especially dates and things like that, and priorities.
Yeah, it can be helpful.
Yeah, I find it makes life a little easier when you can sort things. And then Bigin. We don't really talk about Bigin all that much. This is Zoho's new ultralight CRM. It's much more than a contact manager. It's actually very nice, and it's getting nicer. They just made a whole ton of improvements to it, most of it from an integration standpoint here. So now integrate with Zoho Meetings, campaigns. They've got a Gmail plugin, and they brought Phone Bridge integration to this. This is interesting because when this started off, I thought, okay, super cheap, super lightweight. You're missing a lot of this kind of key functionality, which is why you would want to move up. But it seems like not the case. They're going to give you some nice integrations, I guess, getting you then to potentially try more and more Zoho products.
Yeah, this one's been kind of an interesting product from right out of the gate. Just because Zoho CRM is already kind of Zoho's flagship product, it's generally the biggest, kind of baddest one that people know about, and generally is kind of the gateway into Zoho. It's definitely interesting to make kind of a not quite a competitor for their own product, but an alternative to it within their own suite. It'll be interesting to see down the line if they ever kind of roll out an integration with the CRM. They've got some really slick Kanban views and nice UI features in Bigin. So I'd imagine a lot of people might want to manage some of their deals over there, but, need a lot of the functionality that's built into the CRM. So it kind of is in a weird little space where you may want to use it, but you're going to miss out on some of the higher end functions.
From a user interface perspective, I would love to see the look and feel of Bigin end up in the base CRM product. and it looks like they're kind of going that way with some of the changes they've made. But Bigin is slick. The Kanbans are 100 times better than what they are pretty much anywhere else in Zoho except for maybe in Connect. So, and it's just very simplistic, and you can define what data your users see and their input fields. But it's very, very, like you say, they're competing with themselves here, but it's a really interesting niche product. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but with all these integrations, it's a heck of a deal.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, and then we're going to kind of wrap up the news here. So Sridhar, the CEO, Sridhar Vimbu, the CEO of Zoho, went on a tweet rampage. And so I put a link in here. Worth checking out his his Twitter feed. He likes to do these multi-part tweets, and so he's. When I wrote this last night, it was a 7-part or an 8-part tweet. Now you said it's 9 parts. It just keeps
there's
going.
Another one that got snuck in at the end there.
Yeah. So he is. Basically, he's on a rant about education, which is really, really interesting. He basically is saying, look, our educational system is broken. It is based on how well you can do on tests. It doesn't account for people being able to maybe gradually enter into a career. And he uses he says, look, what if our entire world, our entire educational system was based on your musical ability, and jobs demand that you had a basic qualification in music before you could do anything. And he says, he sucks at music. He's challenged musically. So he couldn't even make it higher up because he couldn't get this basic foundational that he needed to so he could ever progress through our educational system. It's an interesting series of tweets. It's a good philosophy. It doesn't really, have anything to do with Zoho, but it's he's kind of talking about some interesting stuff there. He does kind of tie it into how they do things at Zoho, though.
Yeah, and it is interesting. I mean, there's definitely something to what he's saying, just that his point is that too much of the educational system is based on taking tests, and test taking in and of itself is a skill that's kind of independent from understanding that information. So that's where his comparison with having musical ability and being a test taker comes in, is, if you just don't have that ability to, take multiple choice tests or do these things well, then you're going to struggle. So it's definitely interesting to kind of get his unfiltered insights on it. And definitely back in a previous life when I was a chemistry major in college, there were definitely a lot of people that understood the material much better than me, but just weren't great at tests. And so I can definitely empathize a bit with what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm going to have to follow. I think we do follow him on Twitter, but no, this is he puts out some good stuff. So anyway, take that a look. I think it's pretty interesting. All righty, let us move on to our upcoming webinars. We have got a nice one coming up on Zoho Desk. That's on May 26th at 10 a.m. Tyler, we're going to do our usual overview and best practices and go through everything in Desk. Maybe we'll show that sheet view so we can kind of talk about sorting that. We're looking forward to that. And then also Zoho we did our analytics webinar last month, and Zoho has a new webinar coming out called A Holistic Approach to Sales Using Analytics. And it's going to be on May 20th at 7 a.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And Zoho is going to teach you the skills needed to look beyond sales numbers for insights using analytics. So that should be interesting if you kind of want to follow up on that. It looks like they've got the product manager who's going to be giving this overall demo. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up with there. And we have the links in the show notes. So Tyler, talk about our implementation of the week.
Yeah, so this week for our implementation, we did an integration with Calendly and Zoho CRM. So Calendly is a tool that we use internally that basically allows us to give our clients a link where they can book onto our calendars. So it is going to show your Google Calendar availability and what blocks someone could book. And then once they choose a block, they'll get a calendar invite, you'll get an invite, and everything is as it should be. And so what we did here is we wanted to pull in those events into the Zoho CRM. So we went ahead and opened up Zoho Flow, as we oftentimes do. And basically set up an automation where, once a meeting is booked in Calendly, it's going to take that email address, right, and search for it in leads and then in contacts. And, if there is a match, it'll go ahead and create a CRM event related to that lead or contact. And then if there's not a match, it'll go ahead and create a contact with that related event. We chose to drop it into contacts just because when someone is booking, oftentimes they're qualified enough that you'd consider them a contact. But you could drop them into any of the two buckets. So it's kind of a quick one. I'm not doing anything too crazy there, but it just gives you visibility of these events inside of the CRM. And, the main reason that you'll probably want that is, reporting down the line. You may want to know how many different meetings all your different reps are taking and booking with your clients. And so pulling those into the CRM allows you to report on that easily.
So how long did it take to set up this flow?
Well, it depends. So it takes probably about 20 to 30 minutes per user.
Okay.
But you have to set it up for each user because of how Calendly's API works.
Yeah, we may really want to post something out here because there are a lot of companies have gone out and built plugins that you can put in. They all work horribly. I've never been happy with any of them that are in the marketplace right now, whether it's for Acuity scheduling or Calendly. Are we going to kind of do it? We should do a detailed step-by-step on this that we can point people to, because even the ones that you can get, I think they're like $10 per user per month or $9 per user per month or $5. And, if you got 5-6 users using Calendly, it's probably worth taking a half an hour for each one and getting it set up properly. So it's pretty nice. Flow just gets more and more powerful, it seems like, with each and every day.
Yep. I'm preaching to the choir on that one.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day. They had a very odd little application. I'd never heard of it before. And there's like, is there anything we can do with it? And I went into Flow, and there it is. Yes, it's just, it seems like every time they're getting some sort of use case for some kind of application, they're going ahead and adding it in, just like Zapier does. But, as you can say, you can do so much more with Flow as it relates to Zoho specific products. So pretty nice stuff. All right, and then things we noticed. I looked all over, high and low, for a blog post on this or anything. I could find nothing, but Cliq kind of had a major update that slipped in this week, a new thing called remote work. And it sits up at the very top of Cliq, at the very top of all of your chats and all your channels and all your contacts. And when you click on this, it's just remote work. It basically allows you to check in for the day. And then it's got a real 1984 little feature there, which is turn on this live video stream. So it's kind of puts this little video of you up in the corner so your boss can kind of check in and see what you're doing. It seems like that could be relatively dangerous. And then you can set your status. You're available for collaboration, you're engaged in work, you're taking a 60-minute break, a 15-minute break. Actually, very interesting. And also, you kind of clock out at the end of the day, and it is timing how long you worked. I don't know where these logs are writing to. There's so little we found on it. And even setting up the groups is basically tied into Zoho People. Isn't that where we found the...
It is. It's tied to Zoho People if you are a user in Zoho People. If you're not a user in Zoho People, it's tied to permissions inside of Cliq itself.
But I couldn't, I was looking for the whole, timing and reporting and all these features. It looks like it's got a lot of possibilities. I mean, honestly.
It's very cool. It's very cool. It's definitely early. It seems like one that maybe they pushed out select users, but it's definitely very cool. And with everyone being, working remote right now anyways, it's a good way to stay checked in and kind of on top of where everyone's at.
Yeah, the hardest thing I found is that I like it and I wish we would all use it. And we're all kind of, this is really cool. But you've got to remember to check in, and you've got to remember to constantly change your status, right? That I'm engaged in work, I'm available, I'm at lunch, I'm on a break, I'm doing these kind of things. And it's just not something, you've got to just really build this into your daily routine. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to work very well. But yeah, if you want a kind of an Orwellian Zorwellian type of work, that's pretty cool. I don't know. There's our show title, Zorwellian. I like it. All right. This week's read. This is really, really interesting. So I don't know. Haven't we talked about a net promoter score in the past?
I think we have.
You know, so this is something that came out of Bain and Company a while ago. And actually, I think we've written an article. We've had some blog posts about it, which is, hey, who are your detractors? Who are the passives? Here are your promoters. And you kind of figure out, how that works. And the man who invented this was a guy named Fred Reichheld. And he has now added a new loyalty metric to the Net Promoter Score. And CRM Magazine, Destination CRM is the website, has done a really nice article on it and talks about, he created this Net Promoter Score 17 years ago. I thought it was around longer than that. It's kind of one of those things that's kind of become just a big part of business society. And now he's saying, look, we also need to get customer loyalty in there as well. And I think it's an interesting metric. It's a good read. It's a short read, but I think worth the time. If you're looking for how do you measure the success of your company, how do you measure how good a job you're doing with customer satisfaction, I think this ties in nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where, he's kind of saying that over time he's seen that Net Promoter Score doesn't always work out as you'd expect, especially because it sets up kind of an incentive system for salespeople to try to manipulate the results. So it's kind of a more quantitative approach that helps, you take it into account with your original Net Promoter Score. It's not like a replacement or anything like that, but just an additional metric that you can be using to try to judge where you stand with your customers.
Well, you're only like a year out of B school, right? So, I mean, do you find any... Was this a big deal?
Net Promoter Score definitely came up. I've not heard of earned growth before this. But yeah, Net Promoter Score, customer centricity, all those types of kind of concepts are pretty core to how people are being taught right now.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting article and I think worth taking a look. Something kind of out of the ordinary from what we usually do. And then over at Zenatta Blogs, I swear this is the last one, but we have another one, how to be successful with remote sales. So some more work from home tips. So if you want to take a look over there, we've got some, we continue to pull these up. I'm a little concerned by some of the images we're starting to put in our blogs. But we've got two girls with sunglasses. I'm trying to figure it all out. But anyway, it's a good read and worth the time. All righty. And also, we continue to put out the video content. So from kind of last week, your tip of the week, syncing deal stage value and related account to a related account and contact. And then we've got... Zoho CRM 101, setting up a unique custom field for import. We covered these on the last show. We've got standalone videos that are now available on YouTube. And then we've got two new resources guide, getting started with Zoho Creator and a getting started workbook for admins for Zoho CRM. Both these are pretty good. Takes a lot, constantly digging around. It's really like a few hours to just kind of sort through just the plethora of PDFs that Zoho is out there and finding out which ones are good and hopefully getting them unorganized. So as we continue our archivist journey here, we're getting them up bit by bit onto the website. So take a look at that. I think you'll find those worth, especially the getting started with Zoho Creator. It's pretty good. All right, and then our application of the week. This actually could have been up in news as well, so it's kind of a double win here. There's a nice little blog post. They have created a new extension for G Suite, and it's Zoho Sign for G Suite. And I've got a link to the extension in the show notes. But this is really cool. I started playing around with this, and I actually enabled it for the whole organization yesterday. Really a nifty, you can be inside of Google Docs. You can right click on a doc and immediately send it to Zoho Sign. So it says you open it with Zoho Sign and it opens it for signature. You can be in your email and it will open. You can sign Zoho Sign directly from within Gmail. That's just huge. They also have a little cloud picker. Google Drive has now been added to the cloud picker. So if you're in Zoho Sign, rather than upload you choose the I can't remember what the name of it is. It's kind of odd, but anyway, it gives you this little thing where you can go, hey, I want to do it from Zoho Docs, OneDrive, Dropbox, Box. Now you can just go ahead and directly upload things from there as well. And then it becomes an application in your application launcher inside of Chrome, and it also becomes an app if you're using Chromebook. Pretty cool. This is something kind of a long time coming. Super excited about the Gmail integration, that part of it, just to be able to have a document and sign it directly there. This is something I used to have with HelloSign, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, which was just great. Just right there in the doc, you could sign it. So now that feature's here, it makes it real easy for NDAs and just simple contracts.
Yeah, definitely a nice quality of life improvement, especially with so many people that use Zoho also use G Suite and Google Drive and a lot of those products. So it's always nice to see the big focus, at least seeming focus on Zoho's end of, building out the product suite and its integrations with Google.
Yeah, and to quote the blog post here, when it comes to online business software, Google and its suite of applications are as ubiquitous and massive as things can get. And that's pretty much true. I didn't realize over 2 billion users on G Suite. That's a lot. It's crazy. Those are crazy numbers. And it's a good product. Everybody uses it. So we're taking a look at. All right, and then our tip and trick of the week, actually just one from Zoho this week. It's a simple one, but we get asked about it a lot, and I felt like we'd covered this, but this is relatively new, and I know we hadn't talked about it. We should make actually a video about this, I think, and maybe give a real detailed tutorial, but this is a pretty good one. It's basically pre-filling your forms automatically with Zoho CRM data. And this is something oftentimes customers ask about. So you want to send a client a form, and maybe you just want them to update their contact information or their account information, or you don't want them to be forced to have to fill in half the information that you already have in your CRM. So this is a little step-by-step guide on how to create that form, how to link it to the CRM, how to set it up, and how to send it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways to do this, right? By either passing parameters in a link to the form, or now, using this kind of pre-built tool here. It's definitely nice to be able to kind of pre-fill things, send them out, allow people to do updates. One of the big reasons you may want to do this is to make sure that someone filling out the form gives you the same email as before, right? If you're going to kind of match things back in on the submission. So it's definitely nice when you need the customer to give you an update to the information that you already have in the CRM.
Yeah. Sometimes I think passing parameters is a better way to go. When doing these kind of things, you can be very detailed in it, but
and it depends how you want to use the links too. So, for one of our clients, every contact gets 9 custom form links generated via script just when they're created, and then through a series of emails they go out and they all get the specific link. So there's definitely times where you're still going to want to just pre-parameter the link right to the form to fill data that way, but nice to have more options depending on the specific workflow that you're in.
All right, Tyler. Well, a short show this week. Not a lot of news to talk about, but we hope you found it valuable. If you have any questions or comments, you can send them to us over at info@zenatta.com, or just head over to zenatta.com and click on Drop Us a Line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, as well as right here on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.